Is it okay to do a white horn bomba today? Oh. Hippie. White horn bomba. Pip-on-pon. It's a white horn bomb. Oh. Hippie. White horn bomba. Pip-on-pon. It's a white horn bomber. White horn bomber. I'm tired. Pecora. Pecora. Forgive me. Pecora. I'm sorry. With Noel. Noel, this is a white horn bomber. Oh, Noel. Wow. Hippie. White. Bomba pip-on-pon. White. Bomba. Dog. Oh, hippie. White horn bomba pip-on-pon. White horn bomba. Oh. Hippie. White horn. Bomba. Pip-on-pon. White horn bomba. Oh, hippie. White horn bomba. Pip-on-pon. White horn bomba. Oh, hippie. White horn bomba pip-on-pon. White horn bomba. Wow, hippie. White horn bomba. Pip-a-pon-pon. It's a white horn bomb. Pip-a-pee-pee-pon-pon. Pip-on-pon-pon. Pippin-pon-pon-pon.
Uh, what is up? Folks, there are new things I have to say, like one of the new things is like the beanie I'm wearing in my sweater. This sweater is really comfortable. Oh man. But how's it going? I have to say, the beanie's pretty comfortable too. Only downside is it's not very long. It doesn't quite catch all of my ears. But even so, let's throw the hood on. Yeah. Ooh, this is toasty. This is what I get. This is why I bought fleece. Doesn't need to be super thick to be warm. But hello. Who all do we have here so far? I see Shirt Dude is here, my editor. Gajira Fan's here. Rogue Dio. Jeremiah Hambry. Hopefully more will come in. I don't expect a lot today. I expect more people are going to catch the VOD on this one. I wanted to go ahead and do this live. Just because... I don't know, I just didn't really feel like doing like a recording. But, yeah. I think it goes without saying that the Wing Zero is Frightening video did some work. Where is that at with views? It's pretty up there. Yeah, in 10 days... You're making bank today, Mike? I got 3 ads. Yeah, they sadly do not let us choose where to put ads, but, I appreciate you enduring it, if nothing else. But, we have 268,000 views on this video after 10 days. And, if I look at the analytics of it, it jumped, like, from about 50,000 views to, like, 200 in a day. Which shocked the shit out of me, to say the least. So, yeah, that did some work. Like, I am not gonna lie. I am incredibly shocked that we got, both goals that we had for the end of the year, which was to hit 40,000 subscribers and to get the member goal for the new podcast. And I'm pretty stoked that we got them both before the last month of the year. We got 40K before I turned 40. That's something. I'm gonna go ahead and take the beanie off. It's actually nice and toasty in here. This is a lot more. It's smaller than I thought it was gonna be, but it's. I prefer a tighter beanie because, like, this is my other one. And it fits more of my head, but the problem is if I. Excuse me. If I start turning my head, it starts to slide up the back of my head, and then it's off of my ears. So, but anyway, did I get a lot more snow than recently? Oh yeah, we have a storm going right now. I had to go out to pick up a package that came in. I did do Black Friday shopping this year. I had money to do it, and I'm like, you know what? I haven't bought anything for myself in a while. Just kind of like a me thing. So I'm like, fuck it. So one thing I got was these. Because one thing that's going to be coming around... Where's your Zaku beanie? Those exist? If those exist, I'm going to have to look into it. But I went ahead and got some brand new brushes. With precision tips. Because with the next year, we are going to be increasing streams. We're gonna move from 1 a week to 2 a week. And one thing that we're gonna be doing is painting. So I'm in the midst of organizing my painting station over here. And once that is done and over with, because I actually bought an organizer for my paints. It's actually a makeup organizer, but it's the right size to fit everything that I need, like all my tools and everything like that to fit in there. So I think the only thing that doesn't fit in the drawers on it is the surfacer, and that's it. But we'll be doing painting stuff, not just of whatchamacallit, not just of Gundam, but also 40K stuff. Zaku beanies are a thing. Hold on. Holy shit. They were a thing. This item is discontinued and is not expected to come back into stock. Yeah, so sadly, no. But yeah. So let's talk a little bit about this, about what's gonna be going on this next year. Obviously a new podcast is gonna be starting. Shirt Dude and I will be doing it every week. The tentative title is Masters of Lore. The opening joke being, "Come ye masters of lore, we who love the big guns." The thing is, it's going to be me and Shirt Dude. And then if Shirt Dude is not able to make it because he is busy, I am going to have an alternate that will also come in and discuss things as well. I just need to talk to him about it and see if it's something he can do. But the goal is basically just to do a weekly podcast talking about different elements of lore and science fiction. We're gonna start mostly based around Gundam, obviously, but we're gonna branch out to other stuff as it goes on, because I'm admittedly a bit of a lore head. I know quite a bit, not just about Gundam, Fallout, 40K, what else is out there? Star Wars, things along those lines. So, doing a weekly, Mass Effect is another one, doing a weekly discussion on lore is gonna come kind of easy to me. So that'll be something that I definitely enjoy doing. But you guys are the ones that made it possible. Now, how it's gonna work is that people who are members of the channel get 6 months, count them 6 months of exclusivity. Meaning, episode 1 will debut sometime in January. Non-members will not get it until the summer comes around. And then after that. So if you are a member, you get in on it early. If you're not a member, you gotta wait half a year for each episode. Reason being is that there's a couple things that, reasons that I'm doing this, and it's also why I'm pushing people subscribe, is because we are for YouTube creators and streamers in general, or just content creation in general, we are in a golden age, fiscally speaking. The amount of millionaires that streaming and content creation has made is ridiculous when you think about it. Like, there are people that are millionaires right now that have no business being millionaires, right? So it is prime time. I mean, PewDiePie just retired at what? He's my age, right? Like, he's about to turn 40? Maybe not even that? Retired, because he made that much fucking money. He lives in Japan now with his wife and his kid, and he's just gonna go be a dad. Like, the idea that a grown man, not even close to the age of 65, could retire not even before your prime is over, just on content creation, is fucking insane. It's insane. Like, it's absolutely insane. Fiscally, it's a golden age, but it sure doesn't feel like a golden age. Well, in regards to the money, it's a golden age. In regards to the quality of content, it sure as shit isn't. But that's a whole nother thing to talk about. But the problem is that we're only one adpocalypse away from it all disappearing. You know, that's the big problem. One adpocalypse, it's like a lot of people will lose a lot of money and bring them to fiscal ruination. Because I will guarantee you right now, there's a lot of content creators out there that are making this big money that are not saving it. Which is what you should do. Like, if you're in any form of broadcasting and you start making decent money, if you have the opportunity to not live beyond your means, by all means, don't, and take all that extra shit and save it. Because, dear God, it can disappear on you. You know? Like, this has been something about broadcast, like, a little bit of Micah lore. My very first job was in broadcasting. Kid you not, I was a DJ. I was a disc jockey at 16 years of age. I did not hold the job because I screwed up one night. The station owner because of the screw up, called me up screaming at me, which in this day and age, if you were to do that to an employee, you would get sued. But that was my first job, was in broadcasting. My initial thought career-wise when I was a teenager was to go into broadcasting, to go into radio, and then possibly go into like local television as a news reporter. Bring up the wiki article. We will now add this to the Micah lore page. Oh, God. If there's ever a Wikipedia article about me, I will laugh. I mean, I have a feeling like once I hit like maybe 100,000 subscribers, somebody will want to do it. But regardless, and hey, anime guy, what's up, dude? Shinosuke's here. Good morning. But yeah, so to talk a little bit more about what the future plans are. So what we're obviously going to be doing, the big videos of this next year that like, we obviously want to continue doing the X is horrifying videos, because there are a few more Gundams that are absolutely terrifying in regards to what they are. But there's not a ton of them. So we've got about like 3 or 4 that are planned. Because but we've also got that. We've got the podcast. So new lore stuff every week. Anybody who is a channel member at the $10 or more, or the $10 tier, will actually be able to suggest what goes into the polls. Dusort renews his membership, speaking of members. Says, hey, I'm surprised to see you being early in comparison to your usual streaming schedule. Yeah, my sleep schedule's all fucked up right now. I got sick, and it sadly kept me home for Thanksgiving, which really bummed me out. I was really looking forward to seeing my little sister. A little bummed that I couldn't find a bus out to where my sister lives, that my arrival time wouldn't have been just for dinner. Meaning I would have spent 2 hours with her and my family, and then my mom was going to drive me back here. And it's like, that's, it's better than nothing. Beggars can't be choosers. But, regardless, I got sick, so it screwed up my sleep schedule even more. So yeah, that's the reason for the early stream, because tonight, I have a tabletop game scheduled with people in my server for the 40k tabletop role-playing game called Wrath and Glory. But anyway, Rate the Mecha is a sorely missed series. We will do more of that for sure. But regardless, we'll be doing, we'll be doing that. We will be, of course, doing the Neo Zeon War. I want to try to get part 1 scripted and the audio edited before the end of the year. I've been busy with a bunch of other stuff that I haven't been able to get around to it. But that's the next big one. And then the thing is that Neo Zeon War Part 2 is probably going to be very, very short. Because, in fact, it might only be 1 episode. Truthfully. Because, the issue that I run into, there's not really a whole lot that goes on during the second Neo Zeon War. There's what's going on with Char and Amuro. That's the big one. The other thing is some follow-up with the Slave Wraith and the Slave Wraith team. And sadly, there's not really enough to put, do several episodes on. So that will probably, Neo Zeon War 1 and 2 will probably be pretty quick. After you finish Turn A, please do rate the mecha of it. I would love to, that so I could see your thoughts on some of the designs. Yeah, we'll definitely do it at some point. I've started Turn A, believe it or not. I watched the first couple episodes. The second episode especially kind of got me interested in what it's got to offer. Because I had this weird feeling, I don't know why I had this feeling, but I had this weird feeling before I even watched it that there was going to be a level of too much whimsy to it. And your Discord server is locked behind Patron, isn't it? Yes, it is, Gajira fan, because to be honest with you, the best way as a content creator to keep psychos out of your Discord server is to make them pay for it. Because the craziest people, honestly, on the internet are unemployed. It's like, and I'm not trying to be mean to people that are unemployed, but it does do something to you mentally. You know, like, sitting all day in front of a computer being terminally online and you don't have anything to work towards and you've got nothing going on in your life and like you've got the pressure of like your family looking at you and being like, what the fuck, man? Why don't you get a fucking job? And you just hate the world. Like that is the worst. And it will drive you insane. And there's just some people that they want to be in Discord all day fucking arguing with people, and I don't want that shit in my community. You know, I've had it before, and it's not fun to deal with, and I'm never dealing with it again. Because I will tell you this right now. You ever have if you're a content creator and you start out and you have an open Discord, the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to get some weirdo neat who has spent way too much time on 4chan and has never touched a tit coming in and ask you about the Jewish question. It is just the way that it is. It's been like that for a very long time. Generally speaking, people who work for a living, much more mentally stable. Yeah. But yeah, that's the reason why. Nothing personal, it's just, you know, it's the best thing to do. The ask you the Jewish question seems very specific. Dare I ask why? Because a lot of people who obsess over, you know, well, I gotta hit the button. The people who obsess over Jews are generally unemployed neets. Specifically, unemployed white neets. And for those who don't know what NEET means, it means not in education, employment, or training. But they tend to be absolutely obsessed with Jews and are under the impression that Jewish people are trying to keep them down, keep them unemployed, destroy the white man, and invite all these people into whatever nation they are in, to replace the white man, even though the people that they're inviting in are the people that want to kill all the Jews. It's not a thought process that makes sense when you think about it. But it's not about being thoughtful or intelligent, it's about being a fucking crazy man. And it's about blaming somebody else for your own damn problems and not actually solving them. But then again, it's easier to be a bitch and complain about everything from your mother's basement than it is to actually do something to improve your life. That actually is retarded. Yep. And we've also found out recently, my only political ranting for stream, we found out recently that like all the people that are gassing those guys up, you know where they're from? They're all from the Middle East or India. That's basically it. At best, Eastern Europe. None of them are American. but they're trying to boost up and get young white American men mad at everybody that it doesn't look like them, basically to sow dissent in the country and to fuck the United States up. The Twitter location reveal was hilarious. Oh, yeah. I mean, it basically kind of showed like what we were all thinking, right? Or at least what sensible people were thinking. Because the fact of the matter is that if you go out and like actually touch grass and talk to normal people, they don't believe this crazy bullshit that's being put out there. They don't believe it at all. They're perfectly chill with whoever. You know, it's very rare that you see these kinds of people. Very rare. And the people that are trying to like do this are completely invested in America's downfall. Which it's like, why should I listen to somebody who wants to destroy the place that I love? You know? So, yeah, fuck those people. But yeah, that was very funny, to say the least. But yeah. Goodness. One thing I have to say that I'm very happy I did is this last week I did buy a turkey. I kid you not, guys. Breaking down a turkey is and sous videing the meat is a wonderful investment of your time and energy. I'm not memeing or anything like that. It's legitimately incredible. Like, if there's any of you out there that are bachelors, how did I cook said turkey? Sous vide. Basically, it gets vacuum sealed. It gets seasoned and vacuum sealed inside of a vacuum sealer bag. And it is put into a water bath at 150 degrees for 24 hours. For the dark meat. For the white meat, it's for 12. But yeah, what you do is you break down the turkey, you cut the limbs, you cut the, pray you didn't dunk a turkey into oil like a Weezo. I do not like doing deep fried turkey. Though there are some people that I know that absolutely love it. And I can't shame them for it. My best friend actually did it. And luckily for him, he has... you mean boiled? No, deep fried. As in fried in oil. But he went out of his way to make sure that he brined the turkey and dry brined it so that it was... and patted down the moisture so that when he puts it into the oil, it doesn't explode. Because the thing that a lot of people tend to do... because how you deep fry a turkey is pretty easy. You get a stock pot. For those of you who have never seen a stock pot... you know what? Hold on a second. I'll actually show you. So a stock pot is one of these. It's very tall bottom. You get one of these and you fill it with your cooking oil of choice. And then you just dunk the turkey in it and keep it in there until it registers at about 160 degrees and the breast meat. that back. I do things a little bit differently. But, how I like to do it is to break the turkey down and then sous vide it. So, I don't have a turkey. So, me show you guys what you do. Teach you some bachelor skills. Because for me, turkey is one of my favorite meats. I'm a big poultry guy. I like turkey. I like chicken. I like duck. Though I don't like foie gras. I hate organ meat. But anywho, so what you do, so you got your turkey. So what you're going to do is basically, in this order, you cut the leg along this fat seam here. Flip it over, and then follow the thigh bone around through the oysters at the back, and you cut that all off in one big chunk. So that's all your dark meat. You do it both. You do it both. How does duck taste like? I've never had it before. It's like a mixture of steak and chicken. It's really unique. Then again, it also depends on how it's prepared. But because it's the thing about duck breast, because that's the big thing, is it's very fatty. But if you cook it right, it's like a medium rare steak. It's pretty freaking great. But anyway, you follow those lines. You cut that off. The next thing you do is you cut the wings off. You remove the tips from the rest of the wing. You reserve those for your stock. Then, so at that point, you've already got your thigh and your legs cut off. You've got your wings cut off. The last thing to do is the breast. Now, because turkey has such a big ass carcass. Thank you, Iggy, for the late Thanksgiving. Because turkey has such a big carcass, you want to take a very sharp knife or a cleaver and cut the bottom of the ribs, cut them off from the rest of the carcass and set them to the side. Then you've got the breastbone. You can lay it out flat, cut off one breast, cut off the other, and then take all your bones, along with a whole onion, and you put them on a big ass cookie sheet. And you roast them until they are a nice deep golden brown, and your whole kitchen smells like onion. You're going to take all that, and then the juices from it, and you're going to put it in your stock pot, along with some carrots and some celery, and some garlic head, like a couple of heads of garlic, some bay leaves, and maybe some like oregano if you want it. Italian spices usually work really well in stock. And you just fill water up just barely over the top of the bones. Boil it, and then reduce it, and then lower the heat to low. Let that cook. Let that start cooking. Then you season all of your meat. My preference is I have 2 barbecue rubs that I keep handy that I really like on meat. First is brown hickory brown sugar. And the second is SPG, which is salt, pepper, and garlic. And I use both of those on all of the meat. Season them back and forth. And then, what you do is you grab your sous vide container, you put in, and then you seal with a vacuum sealer your dark meat. You put that in, and you set your sous vide timer 24 hours. And hey, boss, set that to 24 hours. Go take a nap. Let your stock keep cooking while you're sleeping. When you wake up in the morning, once you hit that 12-hour mark, take the stock off the stove and let it sit. And then just strain out all the bullshit, all the solids. And you got stock. You got turkey stock. You can use that for soups. You're gonna use it for your fucking gravy or you're doing it wrong. Am I being a commie again? Yes. And then at that 12-hour mark, you're also going to put in your white meat into the same water bath. By the time that 12 hours is over, it'll be lunchtime. No. It'll be the early afternoon. At that point, you're taking all your turkey out. You're patting it dry. It's going to smell incredible. The dark meat will fall off the bone, tender. You can literally pull the bone out like really good ribs. And then the white meat will also be super tender, but still juicy. Which is very hard to do. But they should be cooked to 160 degrees. Or 150 degrees. 150, 155, somewhere around there. The reason that you're cutting it a little short of being completely cooked through is because to sear it is going to bring it up another 10 degrees. So you're going to pat it all dry, and then you can put it under your broiler in your oven. You can take a torch to it. You can smoke it if you have a high heat smoker, or you can throw it on the grill for a little bit of time just to gain some extra color. Then once it's at 160 degrees, it's going to be super tender, still super juicy. Just serve. And one cool thing that I like to do with all the turkey stock, when I'm making mashed potatoes, I take a little bit of that stock and put it into the mashed potato water to give it a little extra flavor while it's cooking, and then go from there. But usually what I like to make for Thanksgiving, turkey, mashed potatoes, pumpkin pie, mac and cheese, homemade mac and cheese. I don't make the noodles, but I make the cheese sauce. Sexy time music because you're talking dirty right now. I need to have the Super Robot Wars sexy time music on demand, don't I? But I'll do green beans, and then of course mashed potatoes and gravy. So, I make a really good Thanksgiving dinner. Like I am the cook of the family. So, I was a little depressed that I wasn't going to get to my sister's place earlier. And yeah, don't forget your turkey neck and your stock. This stuff is gold. But yeah, if you're a bachelor, guys, honestly, you should invest in a sous vide. They're not that expensive. I will show you the one I have. Because it's a small one. I didn't really need a big one. I didn't have the space. But I'll show you the stuff that I have. This is the sous vide cooker I have. It's cheap, but it's good. Currently out of stock. I got this for, I want to say this was like $35. Then your container. I really like this container because it's got this inside rack, but it basically keeps the meat pushed down, keeps it from floating to the top. This was $32. It's on sale right now. It's normally $50. And then the vacuum sealer I got, this was like $40. So it's like $120, but it's so useful. Like if you're like it's like perfect for bachelors. So Goodness. How many cheeses do I put in cheese sauce? 2. Sharp cheddar and mozzarella. Because mozzarella is a naturally kind of melty cheese. And it, texturally speaking, is really, really good. And you're not going to lose the cheddar flavor with it. Oh, it's awesome. Checking off the obligatory cooking tangent on the Micah stream being O chart. Yeah. This is something I was talking about with a friend of mine. Because I've, and I talked with Hatman about this too. Is that Hatman is, like, probably what he and I are going to do once I move out to North Carolina is I'm going to just invite him and his wife to, like, have dinner at my place on Sundays or something, you know, so we can get together. But, let's see here. How is the base Space Marines Combat Patrol box for someone that wants to play Imperial Fists? That is a good question. Well, let's have a look. Space Marine Combat Patrol. And then there's also an Imperial Fist one. If I remember right. Give me just 1 second. Is it not out yet? Let me just search Imperial Fist box. Yeah, there it is. I don't know why the images aren't showing up. It's apparently sold out. Which I guess I shouldn't be surprised by. So Combat Patrol Space Marines has it has a set of Infernus Marines. So a squad of them, a squad of Terminators, with of course their weapon options, a teleport beacon, a Terminator Captain, and a Terminator Librarian. To be honest with you, this is really good. It's not a bad start. Especially if you're playing, well, Imperial Fists, though, that's the thing. Imperial Fists are kind of like your slow-moving ground pounders. And it's better to play them from range. Infernus Marines are technically a close quarters unit. So this would be better for Salamanders than it would for Imperial Fists. That's the Primaris upgrades. This is what the Imperial Fist box set is. It has a set of company heroes, has Terminators, and then it has Intercessors. This, a lot better. Because you're going to be able to play the ranged game a lot better with a box of Intercessors. Intercessors have a 36-inch range with their assault rifles. Or with their bolt rifles. Wait. Those are heavy Intercessors. That's a set of Intercessors and a heavy Intercessor, so that's even better. So Intercessors, you got 5 of them. This box is so much better. 5 Intercessors, that's a 36-inch range. Heavy Intercessors have like a 38 to 42-inch range, if I remember right. And they have a Marine with a heavy bolter. As, Shirt Dude has played me when I play, armies that have dudes with heavy bolters. You don't want to be on the opposite end of them. Why are the miniatures more expensive than a Master Grade Gunpla kit for the same amount of plastic crack, but the Master Grade is more movable than minifigs? Because these are for a game. Model kits for like, these are not meant for decorations. These are meant to be for for an actual war game. So there's that. The second thing is that, admittedly, right now, the only place to get 40K miniatures, except like unless you like download stuff for 3D printing, is these guys. Like they're the big game in town. And really they're the only game for 40K because they own 40K. So they can kind of charge whatever they want, admittedly. And on top of that, you have to paint these. So it is kind of it's just kind of the way the cookie crumbles. Granted, it's true with just about any company that has their own miniatures. The only one that I don't see cracking down on it, on third-party stuff, is Bandai, because they're not currently. But then again, Bandai is not paying attention to the United States. At all. They're just not. They're completely keyed out of the hobby scene in the United States. They're not paying attention. But yeah, this would obviously be the better one for Imperial Fists. Even then, when it comes right down to it, with Imperial Fists, you're not really gonna... You're gonna use heavy intercessors, you're gonna use standard intercessors, you're gonna use Terminators. Company heroes are more of like an objective control thing. You can hold the center of a map really easy with company heroes and your commander. But I've seen people play games where they've dropped Primarchs with a chapter master and then some company heroes. Have I heard of Project Morning Tar? No. Thank you for the $2 though, or €2. I believe Arch and Sargon are making a TTRPG and are going to be cheaper than Warhammer by a major margin. Doubtful. I know Carl. I've spoken with Carl on multiple occasions. It's nothing against him. I think Arch is a moron. So I don't expect anything that he's working on to succeed. I think inevitably he will fuck it up. It's just kind of his nature. But, parents got me a box for Christmas, and they let me know that they were expensive. I thought maybe the Dark Angels box would be better with Gravis, but that has half plasma weapons. But, well, a box with, plasma weapons, that would be your Hellblasters. If it's got Hellblasters in it, that's a really good unit. Hellblasters are awesome. That's another one you would use with Imperial Fists. The thing with Imperial Fists is you're going to pound people from range. If you want melee ability, honestly, they're just not that good at it. Their bonuses come from sitting still and pounding you. Let me show you what I mean real quick. Pull up New Recruit, where I have all my lists saved. Blah, 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 blah. What did I call my Imperial Fist list? That's the bullshit list. I want the competitive list. Where's it at? I play around with a lot of stuff on Tabletop Simulator, so there it is, bread sandwich. So, their detachment is called Anvil Siege Force. So, what it says is their ability is called Shield of the Imperium. Ranged weapons equipped by Astartes models from your army have the heavy ability. Every single one. If such weapon already has this ability, each time an attack is made with that weapon, if the attacking model's unit remains stationary, add 1 to the wound roll. making it that much easier to do damage as long as you're sitting still. And then, what does heavy do? Weapons with heavy in their profile are known as heavy weapons. Each time an attack is made with such a weapon, if the attacking model's unit has remained stationary this turn, add 1 to the wound roll. So you're going to use stuff like Gravis Armor, heavy intercessors and standard intercessors, because these guys have a 24-inch range. I was wrong on their range. Intercessors have 24-inch range, but it's still half the board. Heavy intercessors have a 30 to 36-inch range, and as long as they're sitting still, you're getting +1 to your wound, and then +1 to your hit. On top of being a Space Marine and you get Oath of fucking Moment, that's nasty in regards to the amount of damage you can do on your shooting phase with the Imperial Fists. And every unit that you have that is sitting still and firing turn after turn is getting those bonuses. So they're really good in that regard. So you can have, like on this list, I have intercessors, heavy intercessors, desolation squads, or as like my sit still and shoot dudes, and they just pelt the whole fucking battlefield with just ranged damage. And then I have 2 repulsors on top of that can carry troops if I need them to. And then of course a couple of Terminator squads for deep strike. Because what I tend to do, because I got 2 aggressors here, what my strategy is with my Imperial Fists, I advance on the first movement turn, and instead of firing with my aggressors, I have them take an action of dropping a teleport homer. So when turn 2 comes around, there are Terminators on the field. That's my melee. Because Terminators, their ranged weapons suck. They suck the high hard one. And I'll show you why. So, right here is the meta. Armor piercing. 0, 0. On a fucking assault cannon. It has devastating wounds, which is nice, but like this is not really that good because there's no armor penetration. So if they have high saves, you're going to have a hard time doing any damage. However, the Power Fist, you can have 5 dudes with Power Fists that hit with a strength of 8 and an armor piercing of -2, and each successful hit is 2 damage. Like, fuck me, dude. So yeah, the Imperial Fist can be really good. They're not my favorite on the tabletop. My favorite's the Raven Guard. But they are very good at what they do. But yeah, this is what you want to go with. You want to get like a captain in Gravis armor, get some lieutenants, intercessors, aggressors, desolation marines, terminators, stuff that's gonna like do that. But make sure you do have a melee unit to capture the center field, to capture your no man's land, or else the early game is going to be very difficult for you. By the way, sorry if like that what I said pisses off any Arch fans, but I don't really have a super high opinion of the guy. I never really have. I don't have a super low opinion of him either. I just have noticed that there's a pattern there where he tends to fumble the ball in regards to his own career. I don't really expect a tabletop made by him to really do that well. To be honest with you, getting in on the market right now in regards to tabletop gaming, it's a waste of money, honestly. The only reason Trench Crusade was able to get in the way that it was largely due to the fact that it was so fucked up in regards to its art style, in regards to how it was gonna look. Not to mention that it was just purely skirmish games. that it made waves very quickly. But at the same time, is it going to be competing with 40K? No. They've got a little bit of a fan base that will do fine for them right now. But the problem that I've seen with them is that a lot of the people that are attracted to that are people that are very pissed off at 10th edition 40K. They don't like it for whatever reason. And that is basically it. Is the that's who they're kind of attracting. And the problem is that you can't really build your brand off that. You know, you gotta be able to draw more people in. I think part of the reason that, and the other thing about it is, like, 40K has existed for like 25, 30 years. So if you think that you're going to compete right out of the jump, and you're specifically aiming to compete with Games Workshop, they will, well, just be prepared to compete with somebody that, you know, has been around for as long as they have. You know, you can complain about Mike Brooks having certain political leanings all day, but it doesn't necessarily mean that people are going to want to invest in the minis, then invest in the terrain, then invest in the dice, then invest in all this other stuff that you're going to be selling. You know? Like, it's hard to get into. It's very hard. Trench Crusade guys are also very hoping the Blue Sky crowd would be the fan base. That was another problem. And knowing Carl and Arch, their thought is that they're going to be able to get the Twitter politics guys to be their fan base. Here's the thing, dude. Twitter politics guys don't have money. Seriously, like the political psychos that tend to watch political content, they don't have money. They're not, and half of them think that games are a waste of time, even though they, again, just sit in their parents' basement jerking off to anime all day. You know? They're not going to buy it. You have to have the attitude of, I am doing this because I love this. You know? And I want to do this because I have a passion for creating games and making people happy with games. You know? If that is not your, if that's not your mentality going into it, you will fail. Because you have to have a desire specifically to make people happy. You know, you have to have that desire to provide a service to other people. That's what business is. And, you know, if you don't have that attitude, which I don't know what their attitude is, then you're kind of fucked out of the get-go. I mean, I wish them luck, but just make sure you got your mental where it needs to be. You know? But it's one of those things where, like, the other attitude that you have to have, and this was where Trench Crusade guys fucked up. You gotta have the attitude of Republicans buy sneakers too. One of my favorite Michael Jordan quotes. That and I took that personal. Or I took that personally. But it's the truth. Republicans buy sneakers too, so do Democrats. You know? The only ones who don't buy things are communists. Because they never have any money and they're used to starving. But the fact of the matter is that, like, you just have to have this attitude of, like, I just want to make a fun game for people to enjoy. And yeah. Because there's also a ton of people that, like, look at it like a get rich quick scheme. Because they see something like Trench Crusade make a ton of money out of the jump, and they're like, oh my god. But the problem is that it's not going to be everybody. I mean, more than likely, it will be more reflective of, like, my experience in getting into comic books, which, you know, I had the best I've done myself in a book that I've written was $25,000 on one campaign. After printing and shipping, the profit was maybe $3,000. You know, and we've had more success with Cyberpop, but even then, it's not massive profits or anything like that. Like, it takes time to really build your audience up, and you got to be in it just because you love it at that point, because you're not going to be making big money. So, not to mention, or something to mention, since I brought up comic books, is I have found somebody that wants to do robot designs for the mecha book that I've been working on. And one thing that he sent me, he was just sketching some ideas. Just in regards to Giant Robot. So, this is just early sketching. Thank you, Banana Goose. And it's an interesting start. There's going to be some tweaks made. But, I only just, like, told him, like, the basics of the setting. And he just sketched some ideas out. So, he's also doing some of the art that I commissioned for the podcast. So once he's done with that, we are going to, we're going to start fleshing out what it is. So for those who don't know, I have had a mecha comic idea I've been sitting on for a while. The script is halfway done. It's called The Argonauts. It is a loose retelling of Jason and the Argonauts. That is more inspired by... I'm talking about Mind Servant. It's inspired by that, obviously, and inspired by Greek and Roman mythology in regards to, like, some of the aesthetics of the robots and stuff, and, like, just the basic idea of how the plot's going to play out. And then, it's going to take a lot of inspiration from Gundam, specifically Gundam stuff from the initial creation of it, all the way up until probably around X, like that time frame. It'll be a war story as well. By the way, I want to read Zion the Blank's thing here. I thought this was a really good point. He says, many of the politics guys that want to make the anti-thing have also have broken spirits. You can't be creative with a broken spirit. You have to have some stability in your life. That's something I had to find out the hard way. Also, hey there, Cordell. How's it going? But the But the basic premise of it is that the solar system has been divided into three parts as humanity has gone out into the stars. So let me show you the solar system. So it's been divided into three parts. The Earth government has all of the planets that are closest to the sun. Mars, Earth, Venus, and Mercury. Alongside all their moons, there are also colonies that exist in these spaces. Those areas are part of the Earth's government. But each planet, if it has a government, Venus and Mercury are just mining colonies, or mining operations. But they have an independent government that has an ambassador on Earth. So Mars has an ambassador. Venus's Mercantile Union, the Mercury Mercantile Union, all of those have representatives on Earth, and then Earth is the ruling body of effectively that section of humanity. Imagine if the entire planet became the United States of America in regards to its government. Each nation has a place on a planetary senate, and then each colony does as well. So it's like a colonial House of Representatives, and then there is also a colonial Senate, and then there is a president as well. It is a constitutional republic. So that's the Earth sphere government. Beyond the asteroid belt is the People's Republic of Kylum. Now, for those who know your history, anytime that you hear of a government that's called the People's Republic of something, bunch of commies, which is exactly what it is. But the Jupiter and Saturn mining colonies, the colonies that are there, the mining operations, everything like that, between those two planets, because for those who don't know, Jupiter and Saturn have a ton of moons, many of which at this point in the story have been terraformed. That's the People's Republic of Kylum. And then, so two giant planets, ton of territory, but that's what that is. Those are our antagonists. Then over here, on this end, we have the Kingdom of Uranus, as they call it. The Kingdom of Uranus, as everybody who makes fun of them calls it. They are formatted kind of like Great Britain, where the Prime Minister, the control of that chair of government, is basically given his position through the Gundam fight. I shit you not. That's how they figure out who their prime minister is. It's through the Gundam fight. Every noble house, in which there's 30 of them, 30, well, it was like 36, fight in a tournament, and then the winner of the tournament is the new prime minister of the Kingdom of Uranus, who works underneath the king and the queen. So, and then of course there's a major royal house as well. So, I'm still working on it, but we're getting there. And thank you, Ellie, and I appreciate that. For once, I would like the wealthy democracies to be the bad guys in a sci-fi story. How much sci-fi do you read? Like the most recent one I can think of that's like that is The Expanse. But anyway, So what we have is Neptune, like the Kingdom of Uranus and the Earth Republic have alliances with one another. Because the PRC, they used to be, despite being filthy commies, they were copacetic with the other two nations. They didn't really, they're just like, look, because one of the problems with the Earth government is it's very corporatist and it's very corrupt. Sound familiar? So part of the that corporatism bit them in the ass when it came to Jupiter and Saturn, which is why those two planets and all their colonies and their moons are their own nation instead of being everything else. Because the fact of the matter is, when they went independent, the Earth did not want to enter a war with them. They didn't want to go just kill a bunch of workers. You know, they were just like, look, okay, the company that was in charge of this area fucked up. They fucked up royally. We understand you now have your own military. Congratulations. Can we still trade with you at least? They said yes. Because their first leader was not really a warmonger. He was a bit more peaceful. More along the lines of, he's based on, God, what was his name? Who was the head of the USSR during Chernobyl? Gorbachev. He's more like Gorbachev in temperament. He dies. The guy who takes over, I based him on, I forget his name, but the guy who was in charge of Vietnam during the Vietnam War. Based it on him. And also the Kim family from North Korea. Much more warlike. So not as cold as the Cold War. Yeah, it wasn't even a Cold War. Like, they had a trade agreement, you know? The minerals and stuff like that they would get from Jupiter and Saturn and the mining operations there would be traded, you know, with Mars and Earth. Ho Chi Minh, thank you, Crocodile. So, but this new leader was more warlike. He's like, look, he had this weird manifest destiny idea that all humanity must be united under the PRC. And as such, he started a war with the Earth by first invading Mars. And that is effectively where the story starts. Is after the war on Mars, or after those battles where the Earth gets Mars back, that's when the first mobile frames are introduced into, like, first pure combat built mobile frames were introduced in that war. And now, it's been about 5 years since the start of the war. What has been created is something called jump technology. Now, for those who don't know, who trades with the communists, or their territory is rich with materials? So, you have to keep in mind, Jupiter and Saturn full of natural gases that are consistently replicating. Then you have all their moons that are very mineral rich. The ones that aren't, and then they have like several colonies as well. So they have a ton of mining operations just between those two worlds. So all that stuff that they need, all those elements that you need for building starships and other colonies and expanding and and also upkeep, a lot of that comes from right there. Now, there's also a good amount of it that comes from Venus and Mercury, but Jupiter and Saturn are massive planets. So, you know, they were having that there helps the economy quite a bit. But anyway, what they have figured out is something called jump technology. Because for those who don't know, if you were to do faster than light travel, meaning your ship was actually moving that fast, you have a problem called time dilation. where the time when you start the leap and the time where you end it, and then you leap back, could be massive amounts of time. So, because that's just, you're fucking with physics at that point. So jump technology, quite literally, opens a hole in another dimension. You fly through that, and then pop out the other side. And the amount of time that it takes is considerably shorter, plus you don't have to deal with time dilation. Yep, Gunbuster talking about that sounds so scary as hell. Yeah, like, physicists are flat out saying these days, faster than light travel is a bad fucking idea. Because, it's really not worth it. Just make your ship go really, really fast, and it's going to take you upwards to a year to get somewhere, or several months at a time. That's basically on the hard scale of silence, basically, and that's what I'm trying to avoid, is like those problems. But basically how the comic was going to start is that the new technology done by we'll call them the Federation, by the Earth, is, they have two different types. They have the jump tech, which the PRC does not have. Neither does Uranus and Neptune. Mass Effect does rather well with it. Yeah, if I remember right, the way that they do it in Mass Effect is like it actually fucks with the actual mass of the vehicle itself, so that it's traveling in a way that that it doesn't deal with time dilation. It's something like that. I'd have to read through it again. But anyway, so the thing that you run into with this is there is so that they have the jump technology. The second thing is the mobile frames. They developed brand new experimental units that are considerably faster in regards to their reaction time, and on top of that, have AI backing them. They have a concept called a mothership. So what the mothership does is it actually has a full-fledged AI. Think Cortana. Like Cortana and Halo. It's very similar to that, where it is the brain scan of a human being turned into a program. So it can actually think, and it's true AI, not like what we see these days, but like Skynet in regards to how advanced it is. To the point where the AI is so good at what it does, before it's ever shipped onto a mothership, they have to test to make sure it's not malicious, nor is it capable of being malicious before they put it onto a ship, because if it turns malicious, it'll kill you instead of the enemy. But the thing about the mothership is that it has the ability to feed real-time battle information at the speed of thought to a bunch of platforms all at once. And can also help pilot these suits. Each of these suits has something on them called the Javelin system, which is it's a track on the back of the suit. Let me actually show you how something similar to how these look. So the Argonaut backpack is kind of similar to the new Gundams, though without the without the funnels, obviously. So it has its thrusters. Like this. Where there's thrusters, a space, and then thrusters. Thank you, Leo. Don't worry, there's no mobile dolls. But on this area is a track. And with it is a beam rifle that can maneuver out and around the backpack so it can fire over the shoulder, can also connect to other weapons, things along those lines, but can effectively watch the back of the person on it. That is controlled by the AI. So it literally is like the pilot has another brain. Think of it like the Zero system if the Zero system wasn't trying to kill you. The other gimmick is how the pilot's cockpit is. Most mobile frame units have your standard cockpit. You're sitting like this. You got your joysticks. You got your foot pedals. You got your shit, right? In this, what they have in the prototype Argonauts, I've never heard of Brigador. What they have in the prototype Argonauts is something that's a little bit like the mobile trace system. In the sense that you have braces on your hand area, on your head, on your legs, and all that stuff that suspends you. And then your movements move the suit. It's a combination of, if anybody in here has ever seen Jushin Liger, the anime, not the wrestler. It's a combination of that and the mobile trace system from G Gundam. You don't feel the pain of the suit, but if a suit loses a limb, you can't move that part of the suit. It just goes limp. So the reaction time of the suit and the way that the suits move is a lot less stiff and unwieldy. They move like actual humans. And they can do things that you wouldn't expect them to be able to do in that suit. For example, in a normal cockpit like this, with your joysticks and stuff, you gotta be really good with those pedals to shoot a double leg on somebody, right? Well, they can do that with this new cockpit system. It allows for more precise hand-to-hand combat and much more unique movement than what you could normally get. So, but they basically have those two pieces of technology at their beck and call in this battle. And what they did is they leapt out to Saturn, to one of the bigger mobile frame factories that the PRC had, and they destroyed it. The problem is that during that, the mothership, called the Argo, was badly damaged. Boss renews his membership, says, "Why are there 6 pedals if there's only 4 directions?" But during that battle, the mothership is badly damaged, and they cannot repair. They don't have the stuff to repair the jump drive, so they can't jump out of there. So a flight back past the asteroid belt is going to be about 3 or 4 months through enemy territory. So effectively, they have to fight their way home, and that's what the plot is going to be: is how they fight their way home. So it's a little bit of Gundam, obviously. A little bit of Macross, though not very much. So there's going to be no Min Min, because Min Min's a cunt. But, sorry. But there will be, a bit of inspiration from, Star Blazers as well. A little bit of Legend of the Galactic Heroes in regards to anime. But it also is going to take a bit of inspiration from Western war media. Specifically things like All Quiet on the Western Front, a little bit of Enemy at the Gates, a little bit of Generation Kill, believe it or not. My whole thing is to actually... No, there will not be NTR shop. No, we're not doing that. That's disgusting. But, the just fucking distracted me. God damn it, Alien. But the basic idea is to actually tell a war story. Because I feel that, and again, I love Gundam. I have nothing against Sunrise. I think they're making some mistakes, but at the same time, I'm not, like, angry at them over something. But what I would like to do is present a war story that has ambiguity to it, that has a level of questioning things, something that will create an interesting discussion with the people who like it. And I really don't want to, like, whitewash it. You know, I want it to feel like we're just dealing with people, you know? Because I will say this right now. Yeah, none of the high school stuff. I will say this right now. Not everything that the PRC is going to do in the story is going to be evil. Not everything that the Earth is going to be doing is good. Same thing with the Kingdom of Uranus. You know? And, it's going to be one of those that my goal by the end of it is that everything about it you feel. You know, there's no room for half measures. It is just one of those stories where, like, as it goes on, you're like, fuck. Like, you just feel terrible for what has happened. Yeah, Shades of Grey. That is the goal. I think that the characters are going to be very likable. I will tell you right now, tomboys. For tomboy enjoyers, there's a couple. The protagonist of the story, the two, because Captain Jason is one of them. The other one is a new pilot you're going to meet named Kojima. They are... Kojima is not an ace pilot. He is not even going to be the best pilot on the cast. But he's going to be the interesting character to follow. But yes, there will be tomboys, there will be girly girls, there will be a lot of characters you like. There is a Char clone. I will freely admit there is a Char clone in this. That I have really enjoyed writing. I really like him. One of those characters that as I'm writing, I really like getting into his head. So there will be characters that are inspired by many things. Thank you for the congratulations, Michael. I appreciate it. But there will, like, and the thing about it is there's going to be likable characters everywhere. And, I'm pretty stoked about it. Honestly, I think that it's going to be, pretty great. The one thing that I'm not going to do is I was originally working on this with someone else, but I took all of his ideas and threw them out once he decided he didn't want to work with me anymore. So there's no major history that's been written, like, of how we got here. But there, like, we have the basic things. So you need a very competent villain, so you don't make a character like the Jared and the Titans. Well, my philosophy is this, because I like the Titans as villains, because they are just batshit fucking crazy and evil. But with this particular case, with the tone I am looking for, it's not really like a child's introduction to war, like what Zeta is. This is more of a soldier getting in over his head. Is more the thought. Really want a story that has shades of gray and makes you feel like it's you're in war, but not too dramatic. Yeah, there's not going to be melodrama in this. That's the big kicker. There's no nothing like that. How's the culture of these factions? The PRC is like a monoculture. They are very well. They're communist, so that's their culture is communism. Their culture is their politics. Their politics are their culture. People from Earth tend to be kind of like they are now, in the sense that the region that they come from is going to determine what their culture's like. So if they're from Japan, since Japan is still a thing in this, they're going to have a Japanese culture to them. That's what they're going to follow. That's how they're going to behave. Americans are the same thing because the USA still exists in this timeline. Though it has expanded to include Canada. Then there's so like and then also each colony has a different culture to it. Some are more blue collar, some are very white collar. There are colonies around the earth called agri-colonies that purely farm like one thing. Like there is literally a colony that is purely devoted to cows. I kid you not. I have not thought of a name for it yet. I almost called it Space Texas. But but it is devoted to beef production. Will there be religious themes or undertones? There'll be, well, sort of, because certain characters are going to have religious beliefs. One of the cast is a devout Christian. There's a couple others. There's one guy who is also a believer that also parses his culture because he is from a Native American family up in Canada. So some of their culture is something that like he still thinks about, and he pilots one of the melee centered units, specifically Apollo. The Return of Texas Colony. It's so tempting. But yeah, but that colony has sort of like a cowpoke culture to it. Because they're ranchers. It's just a colony of ranchers. There's some colonies that are devoted to corn production, so they're like Illinois, basically. Really boring. Really boring, and everybody's cynical as fuck. But no, it's one of those things where there is, that's how their cultures work in that area. They're defined by, they're defined by just like the culture of the region. The Kingdom of Uranus, think Victorian England, but sci-fi. We're going to be looking at 1v1 dock fights or squad tactics. I know you wanted it from Gunback Black Ops Video. Both. Because the fact of the matter is one-on-one fights are really dramatic, and people like drama when it comes to fighting. But there will be squad tactics and things like that, and like sneak attacks and things along those lines. There will be war crimes, both accidental and purposeful. It's going to dive into how nasty war is. And I mean nasty, nasty. Like, we're talking civilian casualties, we're talking fire, we're talking everything. Like, that, and which is what I mean by it's partially inspired by, whatchamacallit, Generation Kill. Not in the dialogue, though there is a little bit of that. There's not going to be like a lot of conversations about dicks, but if you've seen Generation Kill, you know what I mean. But some of the more like darker parts of Generation Kill, think about that. That's what I'm pulling inspiration from. This will also give you an idea of how dark it gets. It's also partially inspired by Come and See. So it is going to get brutal. But there will be levity. One of the tomboys is a prankster. She's kind of the comedic relief in that way. She's very high energy. Any cool siege battles? Siege battles are hard to do with mecha. So nothing like that. How are war crimes seen in the future? Are they more regulated, or kind of it seems as if the media doesn't get word if it's okay? There is a treaty that is in place that bans weapons of mass destruction. Nuclear, chemical, biological. Because the PRC used them on Mars. When they invaded. They actually gassed an entire major city, like not the capital city, which was like the biggest one, but like one of the major cities on Mars got hit with poison gases, and they killed everyone that wasn't in like a sealed area. Like I said, it's brutal. It's very brutal. But yeah, it's one of those things where, but yeah, there is a treaty for that. So the usage of such things is prohibited because a full-scale war could be triggered. What they're trying to do at this point in the story is to cripple the PRC to a point where they would be willing to sign an armistice and go back to where they are. So there's no nukes. There's no nukes that are allowed. They definitely exist. How do you come up with your story and characters? Do you come up with the story beat and then create the character for the story? Yes, that's basically how I do it. Is I come up with a general plot, and I just basically ask myself, okay, how do you want to do this? Who do you want to follow? Well, I want to follow this guy. Okay, what does he do? He does this. Okay. And then where is he at? He's here. Okay, tell me everything about who's here. Tell me about how that works. Then tell me who they're fighting, and then go from there. And that's how I do it. So basically, in this particular case, I wanted the story to be about a experienced and jaded captain, and then a relatively new but skilled mobile frame pilot. So I've got Kojima and I've got Captain Jason. Okay. They need a crew. They need other pilots that are going to be involved. they need a ship, they need an enemy, and then you just answer those questions, and that's how I come up with it. And the other thing about it is that, like, when I came up with, like, the main cast that I wanted to deal with, which is about 10 pilots, I had to come up with this idea of, like, okay, what do I have here that's going to make this a little bit different? 2 of them need to be tomboys. One of them needs to be more quiet and reserved. One of them needs to be more boisterous. Need some people that are leaders. Going to need some people that are absolute fucking jocks. And then you're going to need some people that are just kind of there to do the job. They're very reflective about what they're doing. And then you need one that's a fucking psycho. So there's and that's the dynamic. And then on the bridge, that's kind of like where the girly girls are at, but also some guys that have been in the shit. So it's just one of those ideas, like, that's how I have to build it out like that. We'll bring in characters that are cynics and nihilists. Oh yeah, so it's a war story. It's inevitable. Is it humane for the pilot? Yes. Like, there's no Psycho Zaku stuff going on. There's a lot of characters. How do you manage that many? Admittedly, not all of them are going to get super fleshed out. Because, like, it's sort of like, what can you tell me about Astanaj and Gundam? He's reliable and he's a really nice guy. And that's it. It's about all you're going to get. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. We're getting Animal Mother. There's going to be a guy, one of the Argonaut pilots is kind of like Animal Mother. He's the kind of guy that says Zeke with a hard R. But yeah, some of the characters are going to be pretty one note. Like their main mechanic is nicknamed Ugly. Because he's ugly. And he's very blue collar and don't fuck with his shit. He's based on Hephaestus. The only person that he likes in the entire crew is the captain. Everybody else, shut the fuck up, don't touch my wrench, get the fucking work done. He says fuck a lot. so he's sort of like a has-been hotel character. Just kidding. What arcs have you got planned? I don't want to go into too many details. I mentioned war crimes. I mentioned, like, some disturbing elements. The other major thing that I'm really looking forward to is that there is going to be a colony within this area that is a parallel to Tortuga. A pirate colony. Are body modifications common or expensive? Cybernetics will be pretty common in this. But yeah, there are space pirates. We're going to have space pirates. And there will be an arc devoted to space pirates. I loved the idea of Space Tortuga. I was watching Pirates of the Caribbean because I really like the first 3 movies. I was just watching Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm like, what if this was in space? Because I think around this time is when I had first read Crossbone. I'm on a pirate kick, right? So I'm just like, man, Space Tortuga would be fucking dope. Why not throw it in? I can make it work. You read Starship Troopers? No, it's on my reading list. I've actually never read it. It's on my Audible list. The problem is that the new Belisarius Call book dropped. When I was gonna read it this month. And I'm like, fuck. So, the Archimagos Belisarius Call book is getting read first, and then Starship Troopers. Somalian pirates and space colonies before GTA 6. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to beat GTA 6. But yes, there is actually a pirate faction based on the Somali pirates. And then there's one that's kind of based on, kind of your pirates, but they're at least honorable about what they do. Like, they don't just kill a bunch of innocent people. So yeah. Partially based on Somali pirates, partially based on the Barbary pilots. Or pirates. So, raiders, basically. Whereas many of the other pirates that are at this Tortuga, they raid PRC ships. And then sell the minerals to either the Kingdom of Uranus or to the Earth. Under the table, basically. You can tell I put a lot of thought into this. One thing that's kind of interesting, though, about Captain Jason is that he is actually a mix of Bright Noah and Amuro Ray. He is kind of the Amuro of it. This is where the Gundam X inspiration comes from. He is the pilot who piloted the first mobile frame that the Earth created called Kronos. And it is the origin for the Argonaut units. So, will he be slapping people? Maybe. You never know. Could happen. Are there going to be any privateers from any of the other factions? There will be some for the Kingdom of Uranus. Is it pronounced Jason or Jessen? Jason. So press X to Jason. That's the pronunciation. But yeah, Captain Jason he's kind of a parallel to Jamil from Gundam X, where he is both Bright and Amuro at the same time. But he was the pilot of the Kronos, and he worked with the Martians to beat the PRC. Does he have a love interest? Yes, and there is a twist to it. The way that they beat the PRC is that the Martians were actually developing combat mobile frames as part of, they were contracted out by the Earth, but they hadn't finished them yet, they had just started mass production. So basically, when the Kronos gets there, it gets ambushed, but it gets saved by mobile frames that are built specifically to fight on Mars, meaning that they can take advantage of the lower gravity. Because the Kronos was built too heavy. It's like, think of trying to pilot the full armor Gundam from Thunderbolt under gravity. That would suck ass. Whereas the Myrmidon units, which are the Martians, those were built for the lighter gravity. So they move kind of like the Barbatos does under Martian gravity. They're very fast. And the Kronos gets heavily damaged. They save it, and then they alter it so that it's basically like the Myrmidon but on crack. And so, is Kronos still in service, or is it obsolete? It is on ice. I will say that. It is preserved because it is a symbol. But yeah, it's not in service at the time of the story. There better not be a Nina Purpleton twist. No, nothing like that. It's a different twist. But yeah, the Kronos and his Myrmidon are like what they use like on all the propaganda posters to get people to join the Earth military, because they were like footage of them fighting the Martians, or fighting the PRC rather, was used to just kind of show like we can beat them, you know. When it comes to war stories, which group has the best characters? From war, like war stories in general. I would say of films, the most memorable to me is Full Metal Jacket. Like mecha shows, I would say Wing. Are tanks still a threat to the mechs? Provided that they are packing a big enough gun. But the problem is mobility. These things are fast. They have a running speed of 100 miles an hour. That's running. It's not including them with like they can't fly in the atmosphere, but they can come close to hovering. And you also have to keep in mind that, like, planetary fights in this are going to be kind of rare. It's going to be a lot of space battles. But the moons of Jupiter, the moons of Saturn, and then Mars, much lower gravity than the Earth. So mobile frames will be able to move very quickly. So, what's the politics of the Earth faction? A lot of different factions to it. It is not strictly a two-party system, but it is sort of, could best be described as libertarian, conservative, liberal, and communist. There is an actual worry of like, there's some McCarthyism going on in Earth while this story is going on. Let's put it that way. Does Kronos have feelings or emotions? No, it's not a living machine. It just has a pilot. Guys always gripe so much about how tanks are than mechs. Well, the thing about a tank is its size. Like, you strap a big enough gun on it, and it's going to be effective, but the problem will always be mobility. You know, if it misses a shot against something that can run up to it fast and then punt it, you know, it's at a disadvantage. Is the Jupiter faction communist style as Soviet, China, Korean, or all the above? It's a hodgepodge. It is kind of more of a mix of Maoist and Russian. Also, I have to say, will any characters be trans? I haven't even thought about that. It's not really something that's like at the forefront of my brain. um, if there are, there are. If they're not, they're not. But yeah, the main thing that I'm focused on with the characters is just isn't really about their like identities. All I care about is like fleshing them out as people. I want them to feel like somebody you could actually talk to. That's one of my big problems with like modern day writing. Though it's getting better, it's just one of those things where I would much rather focus on telling a story that has characters in it that are really interesting rather than anything else. Oh, goodness. Alright, real quick. I'm just checking something. Okay. Well, since I have my Wrath and Glory game tonight, it is about time for me to call it a day. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, because it's really fucking cold right now in Illinois, I'm going to grab all the blankets in the house and then go to sleep. But real quick, what writing perspective are you going to use for the story? Well, it's a comic book, so it's third person. But yeah. But I'm going to get some sleep so I can have my Wrath and Glory game tonight. But I want to thank you all again, getting us to 40K subscribers, getting us to the podcast goal. Even if you're still not a member, still do consider becoming one, because then you're going to get early access to said podcast, and we will start it after the new year. I've got a ton of fucking art assets that are gonna have to get done for it. And then once we do that, we will be good to go. So on that note, I'm going to take off and get some rest. I appreciate all you guys coming by, hanging out, especially people who have renewed their memberships. Really appreciate you guys as well. And yeah, I will see you guys hopefully on Tuesday for a normal stream, and probably on Thursday for a birthday stream too. So I will see you guys later. And yes, sadly, this next Thursday, I turn 40.